Alright, spring break, no excuses. Has been 2 months before I uploaded a video. I'm back. I've tried uploading some videos, but then I didn't really like their ideas, so I never eventually uploaded. But this one I'm probably going to upload because, I'm probably going to upload. Alright, so this problem, I'm just going to be explaining this and then coding it. And I really just want to get into it. I really hate doing intros, so let's just go. I recommend you read the problem because I'm too lazy to explain it to you. And, yeah. So I'm gonna just search it up online, search up the problem, right? So this problem, the first thing you should do is this. I thought it was a very obvious first step, and a lot of people probably did that. But after that, getting stuck is easy, right? The very first step is just to mathematically specify the condition they give you, right? So the condition that they give you is that in order for a squad that is composed of strictly type J people, right? Because you can only compose your squads of people of the same type. Like the people in your army have to have the same health and the same damage. So they basically have to come from the same type, right? So in order for a squad of type J to beat a monster, right? Let's just say in order for the Jth squad, or in order for a squad consisting of people of type J, in order for them to beat the maybe ith monster, it has to be such that the time they spend, the theoretical time they would need to beat the monster, that time has to be less than the theoretical time that the monster would beat the squad. So how do we? So then this is the condition they give us. I'm pretty much just specifying the problem, right? That's the first obvious step. Is okay. So what does this look like in math, right? So really, all this means is that if I want to beat the ith monster with a squad of people of type J, then I need to completely destroy the health of the ith monster, and I know that I have maybe X people in of type J, and that means that each people of type J do D sub J damage, that's given in the problem, and this is the time that it takes, right? This time needs to be strictly less than the time that it takes for the monster to beat our squad. Our squad effectively only has a health of H sub J, and this is because the monster basically wins once it kills one of the people. So it's basically going to optimally just focus on one person and just shoot, right? It's going to shoot and it's going to remove that health point, D sub J, right? Or D sub I. So this is for the ith monster and some red. I want to use the same variable, right? And so this was the overall key to solving the problem, was to manipulate this condition. So you realize that you can manipulate this condition in this way. And I thought that you should manipulate the condition to find the amount of units that you would need in order to beat the monster. But with this manipulation, you still think in an n times m mindset, because it's okay, you can't this x depends on the ith monster, and it's really when you manipulate it such that x is manipulated, you really think in an n times m mindset. So that wasn't really the best manipulation. So the best manipulation of this condition was actually the following. It was h times j times d sub j, and then times x. So really what this means is that if you think about it, what's happening is that another way to simplify the condition they give you is, if you think about what does A sub I D sub I mean, right? That measures basically the effective strength of a monster, right? If you have a really healthy monster and you have a monster that does a lot of damage, it's basically Godzilla. If you have a really weak monster that does very little damage, it's basically an ant, right? So what the product is measuring is, it's measuring the effective strength of the squad or of the monster. What these products are measuring, right, themselves. So if we think about it, that's what the condition really simplifies down to, is that, okay, are you just stronger? Are you literally just stronger than the other army, right? This is a way of mathematically representing strength, but really all this little detail is saying is that the squad has to be stronger than the army. The army has to be stronger than the monster in order for the army to win, which sounds like a very stupidly obvious statement, right? But this manipulation and the way that you could think under this actually makes it a little bit more straightforward, because what you can think about is another very important question, right? What this leads you to realize is that if you think about it like this, right, for every type, right, there's n types. There's like type 1, type 2, and these are basically just people, right, uh, that have a specific health and a specific d damage per second of every type. You can think about it like this, right? They're like, if, for example, let's just say I'm doing two indices. Let's just say n and k, right? Let's just say times hn times dn. If this is greater than, maybe, I don't know, hm times dm, right? If this is greater and they have this and they cost the same, let's say cn is equal to um, cm, I don't need to then looking at then you can effectively disregard um, that type, right? You like think about it, you because like it doesn't matter. You can assume that the costs they give you is a strictly unique array. Like you can assume C is strictly unique because if you have a type that basically um, costs the same as another type, then only the bigger one matters, right? Because basically the way that squads are going to look like is they're going to look like, basically you're just gonna have a bunch of people. You're gonna have like a bunch of people with a certain product and with the same strength, with the same effective strength. You're just gonna have a bunch of people with the same effective strength, right? And it seems unnecessary, right? You should, if you're measuring like how much it costs to put one person with an effective strength, if it costs one person, if it costs $10 to include a person of an effective strength of 60, then you better, and then it also costs like $14, then you should obviously just keep the one, or if it costs, what am I saying? I'm tripping on my words. What I'm basically saying is that if it, let's say it costs $10 uh, to include a person that has an effective strength of 60, but it also costs $10 to include a person that has an effective strength of 40, then I'm obviously never going to use people that cost an effective strength of 40. So, what I'm basically saying, long story short, is I'm saying that when you're thinking about putting people of effective strength of hi times d sub I in general, whatever, right? Obviously make sure that the cost you're using cannot be used um, for another effective strength that's more, right? So it's basically saying that more formally, if you have things that are the same cost, you can disregard this, right? And obviously only care about h sub n d sub n. But this condition itself actually helps more than this obvious condition itself actually helps more than you think it would help, because what it basically means is it basically means that in the problem, when instead of thinking about H and D independent, just think of them as their product. Like when they give you like those end products, right? Then basically, for every cost, right? For every cost, if you think about all the costs, just keep track of the one that for every cost, for like a cost X, right? For a cost X, right? Just keep track of the strength, right? That's maximal for that cost. Right. So in the input, they'll have these costs, and C is nicely bound from 1 to 10 to 6. Just for each cost, just think about the one that has the highest strength for that cost. There's no, so that you know that you're not getting like destroyed, right? So then you know that this C array is basically unique, pretty much in the problem. You can act like it's unique in the problem. And this helps a lot because then if you think about it, if you just think about, like, if you just go through every monster, right? If you go through every monster and you go through its effective strength, like you go through its H sub I times D sub I, right? And you think about all the teams that you can effectively form. Just think about all the squads you can form, right? Literally, you can literally brute force all the squads you can form, right? So for this, you can form H sub I times D sub I, or you can form 2 times H sub I times D sub I, or you can form 3 people. You keep going. If you brute force all the possible squads you can form just from the ith type, you can basically keep going down um, until like you can go down to K, where basically the condition is that K times C sub I, this has to be less than C itself, less than or equal to C itself. So basically what you can do, and then you know that you spent C sub I, you spent 2 times C sub I, you spent 3 times C sub I, and here you spent K times C sub I, right? So then like this is basically just like all the things that you can think about here, right? And you know that this. So if you just think about like, so instead, so if you just think about so if you think about this, you can because C sub I is unique. What you can low key do because C sub I is unique, right? Um, for a C sub I, you can first just find like the optimal strength. So go through the problem, and you can set for C sub I for some C for some cost. You can find the strength that is needed in order to have that particular cost, right? That's given in the problem. And then once you have that, like you can pretty much just like do multiples of this, and basically you'll just run over. What you're going to do is you do C over C sub I, and this can be from 1 to C. So you know that you're pretty much processing C log C, and then for everything, what you can do is you can say, okay, so when I have this type of squad, right? When I have this type of squad, I have it's going to cost 2 times C sub I. When I have this type of squad, it's going to cost 3 times C sub I. And so for every cost, what you can do is you can record how strong you can have, how strong of a team. For every cost, you can record how strong of a team you can assemble with that cost. If you can do that, then if you can basically have an array that tells you for some cost C how strong of a team you can assemble for that cost, then when you basically have to answer the question of, okay, I need to be the ith monster, so I basically need to find an effect. I need to find a squad that is stronger than H sub I times T sub I, but also is less than C. Then you can basically go to that cost array, and you could just only look at. So then you could just say, does there exist some value here that is greater than H sub I times D sub I? And then that's pretty much it. And then if you want to find, because you want to find the minimum one, you can just like binary search over that range. And that's pretty much the solution. This is pretty unclear. This is a pretty unclear. I probably explained it really unclearly, but what's going on is that the observation that you don't need to process types that are redundant. Like, for example, like I said, you can assume that C is unique. So basically, the problem is solved when you think about this question, right? This is the question that basically opens the eyes in this problem, opens your eyes in the problem. It's by basically thinking about for a specific cost, what is the strongest army that you can assemble for that cost, right? And some costs you can't maybe it's not possible to specifically have an army that costs 42. Maybe it's not, but when you're thinking about it like that, then the problem becomes very clear. Now, I honestly trying to find motivation on how you would get to how you would think like that, but it's sort of like noticing that you can think about because the problem because the condition on C is 10 to the 6. In this problem you can think about, okay, for if let's say I'm fixing a cost, or let's say I'm thinking about for a cost X, how strong of an army can I assemble at exactly that cost X? How strong of an army I can assemble at exactly that cost X? If you can think about that, if you can think of, because basically what's happening is that for every team, because you have this really nice condition, right? That the cost has to be less than C. For every team, for every type, you can basically go through all the possible squads. You can go through all the possible squads, right? You can say, okay, I can go through this squad if I only have one person of this type, and then this person of this person, and that person of that type, because you're not it's gonna amount to C log C. And the reason this is true is because you're never going to keep track of a type that a type that costs the same but has a lower overall strength. You'll never keep track of that. So basically what's happening is that that all the C sub I values are unique, and you can have at most if you assume that you have unique values can only be from 1 to C, so you'll go over C log C, it'll be C over 1 plus C over 2 plus C over 3 all the way to C over C, so you have C log C. And so basically what you're doing is you're just going through every possible squad that you can form, and you're realizing that those squads have costs attached towards them, and for each cost, you only care about the strongest one that you can basically form, and then it's pretty much a solved problem. So, low-key, tricky problem to think about motivation for, like, cause like I guess you can think about this condition. This condition really helps you, but yeah, I guess we'll implement this problem and you'll see um what I'm doing. But um yeah, I guess implementing this problem might help. Well, let's do this right now. So yeah, this will be like values, and then here's the thing: you only care about the product of, and then the cost. But then for that cost, you want to see how much of this. So it's like for a specific strength, or for a specific strength, you want to see like specific cost. What is the strongest army you can assemble? So we'll just call this S, right? And then so if you take N and C, and the next N lines you actually take your thing. So in each N line, you're gonna take so take your you'll take your D, or this is the cost, and then you'll take that's a cost. Um, just because I'm dealing with like costs, or actually no, I'm not. Uh, so long H, yeah. You take your is it H and D first? Oh, first you see how much damage it does. you see how healthy the monster is itself. But pretty much, actually, this is for the squad. This is for the type. Okay, we're going over all the types, right? Okay, so for this type, pretty much at this cost, the strength that you can form is whatever this is, then times h for that cost, right? And that's pretty much it. And then we don't have to, so what we need to do is we need to figure out how to um, assemble this array. And to assemble this array, it's pretty much just saying that for this fixed cost, and actually I'd rather do this. For this fixed cost, what is the strongest thing that we can assemble, right? Well, what we realize is that for some stuff we'll have 0, but what we realize is that we can just basically multiply that. If we do multiples, we can multiply that uh, by that. So we can say um, if we have x units, because we can go over the x units, where x times c is this. If we have x units, right? If we have x units where x times c is less than or equal to c, then we know that the cost. Yeah, we know that the cost of x times c is basically going to be equal to the cost of x, the cost of x, or the for the cost x times c, because cost like c, then you're doing like a bunch of stuff. It's going to equal the cost of x, but then we're going to multiply by c because you're using or actually, my bad. This is the how strong what number you can build for something that costs c. But then you can actually do times x if you multiply the cost by x. Yeah, and that's pretty much it. And then what you can do is you can change this by doing prefix maximums. What you can do is you can say that the cost of this is basically equal to you can assemble yeah because what that would do is that for this, and then we're taking yeah so that means the overall strength. So the overall strength is S that we're trying to be pretty much just we can't use more than C coins. in a binary series. And then if S at M is greater than S, then we can say that we can basically just try we can just try using like we're trying to minimize it, so just do R is equal to M. Else we need to make it more, so I'm just gonna push L to be M plus 1. And then if S of L is less than or equal to S, then you gotta print out -1, else we gotta print out this L, then pretty much binary switched over, and print out this where we don't. Yeah, I'll be a little bit surprised if this works first time, because actually, yeah, we'll see. Okay, no, it does not. Not sure how L would be. What? What the fudge? How was 11 out of bounds? What the fudge? Wait, what? How would Henix 11 be out of bounds? Oh, for length 11. Yeah, I'm not sure how we're doing. How that's happening. Yeah, I need to increase it by doing mid plus 1. Like what the fudge? No, I know M doesn't work, so I'm just doing M equals M plus 1, bro. That's not going to work. Dude, what the fudge? You should literally never stay above. Okay. This is weird. If this goes maybe like above the condition. Oh. What the fudge? What the fuck? What the actual shoot? What the fudge? What the actual hell? This is all zero. This is literally freaking stupid. How is this all zero? What the fudge, bro? What the fudge? It's just all zero. This makes literally zero sense. Did I input this wrong? Yeah, you basically just like for every cost, right? You can like that you pretty much just can like uh go through it like the fudge. This is definitely that then. That like 100% has to be that. Check the implementation. Alright, we should be good. Yeah, we're good. We're good. We're definitely good. I mean, I could get true. Okay, we're good. Well, maybe my AC, bro. Alright, we're chilling. We're chilling. We're chilling. Okay, but I don't see how we get this wrong. It's kind of a hard question. This is low-key annoying, bro. Oh man, it is definitely a hard question. It's like you have to realize that the condition on C is really nice, and you have to think about like this question. Like one question that I don't understand, or the one question that's like kind of weird, is like the main question is for a cost C, like what is the strongest army you can assemble? And it is a tricky question. Yeah, definitely a good tricky question. Not gonna lie. Looks way harder than the code. Like the code is really this, and then you just do this, and then you just binary search. Yeah, much harder than it actually is. Than it looks like. Definitely a good question. C2000. Not even surprised. Um. Anyways, I would say for this problem, what you have to think about is you have to think about it like this, right? You have to think about how do you get to the main question where it's just like, um, it's like for a cost C, what is the strongest army you can assemble, and it's motivated by this rearrangement of this condition, right? You see that it's motivated by the arrangement of the condition, but one thing that you obviously observe is that you want to think about what you can do with this condition that's C to the 10 to the 6, right? You want to think about it in terms of C. If you think about it in terms of C, if you ask yourself, okay, so for this cost, right, what is the strongest army that I can assemble uh, in this cost? With this cost, then let's just say that I know, then it's like it's kind of like DP. Then it's just like, okay, then to do the other transition. No, it is DP. No, in fact, it is DP. In fact, it is DP. This is DP because then it's just like if you let DPX equal the strongest army that you can assemble, then the transition is very simple. It's just that okay, you can do from that um you can do like multiples of that, which is really yeah, it's just kind of weird to explain. Okay, look, yeah, I'm gonna have to think about this question a bit more, like in general. Um, oh, I understand the problem. That's not the problem. That's not the issue right now. That's not the issue right now. That's not the issue. I was sort of thinking about like, because I didn't think about this, right? I had to like read hints and stuff to think about it like this. But I guess it's like you ask yourself that question, and it's like then you realize that okay, if something costs this, right? Then like yeah, exactly, exactly, exactly. Yeah, pretty tricky problem. I'm not going to cab. I'm not gonna cab. Pretty tricky problem. I'll leave y'all to ponder about it, but that's pretty much this video. All right, thanks.